Business RadioX studios in Richmond, Virginia, it's time for Richmond Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Richmond Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, SMN Square, providing building blocks to success and sustainability. Today on Richmond Business Radio, we got Eboni Thamavong, and she is with Hustle Funds. Welcome, Eboni.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, before we get too far into things, tell us about Hustle Funds. How you serving folks?
So Hustle Funds is a virtual business incubator designed to make entrepreneurship simple and accessible for all people. And then
kind of what's the backstory? How did this get started?
So this started out from our time at Smith, at University of Maryland, Smith. We were in an entrepreneurship program, and they had this thing called like an ALP program where you would, bring your idea and, try to flesh it out. So going through like a simulation of an incubator. So my business partner and I, Mathew Varghese, we came up with this idea that, entrepreneurship shouldn't be as challenging and tough as it usually is, where there's lots of, jargon and buzzwords. And what we realized is that, a lot of this stuff creates a scarcity mindset, and it makes you focus on your weaknesses, and these things become too big and you don't want to either start or finish. So we thought that what if we built a platform that helped make this simple and accessible to everyone? So yeah, this was actually a school project that turned into a company.
So now you mentioned your co-founder, Mathew Varghese. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks, Lee.
Now, what was your kind of vision of this when this idea came to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when we were in business school and in this particular program, the ALP program at University of Maryland's Smith School of Business, one of the challenges that we very quickly saw was the fact that entrepreneurship seems to require a very high threshold to entry. It's almost like we tell entrepreneurs what they don't know, and we build these walls around them that prevent them from getting to their dreams. And we wanted to fix it through software, and we felt that giving them a platform that would help them organize themselves, critically think through the problem that they are trying to solve, provide them with resources that'll help them move very quickly, would solve the problem. And so that's how it started. We're both from entrepreneurial families. We are very distinctly aware of challenges that entrepreneurs face. So we were both very keen on solving entrepreneurship and making it accessible to everybody. So that's how it started. And yes, I mean, through the rest of this conversation, we're probably going to tell you how we went about trying to solve the problem.
Yeah, because I'd like to understand now the thesis, as I'm understanding it, is entrepreneurship is hard, and why make it harder? So let's see if there's a software solution that allows me to kind of either simulate or kind of work through some of the harder parts in a more accessible manner.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of summing it up. But one thing that we just really want to stress is that a lot of entrepreneurship in the beginning, as Matt was saying, was critical thinking. So to give kind of an example, before I got to business school, I'm from the technology sector, cybersecurity, and was an analyst. I didn't have like the vocabulary or really understood what a lot of those terms meant and the questions that were actually being asked of me. So one of my things that I wanted to inject into the product was to make sure that it wasn't so off-putting to join into entrepreneurship, where you may not have the exposure or the ability or to be around other entrepreneurs, and you just you end up in a place where it just becomes unnecessarily difficult, and you may have a fantastic idea, but you can't really communicate it. So I wanted to get that feeling off the table so that people who had great ideas can continue to just have their ideas flourish. And some people don't have the ability to like go get an MBA, right? It's a very expensive endeavor. And, everybody doesn't even have entrepreneurial people in their family. So that isolation also sometimes creates inaction. So that was another thing that we wanted to address with this product.
Now, I find this is all I do is interview business people, and I've been doing this for 13 years. So I've interviewed, I want to say personally, close to probably 10,000 entrepreneurs and business people. So this is all I talk to are business people. And what I hear time and time again, especially with new business people, young business people, startups, they get sometimes in their own way in terms of paralysis by analysis. They're always waiting for that perfect time, the timing exact, the exact right customer, the exact right product, and they don't have, I think you use the phrase bias for action. And I think that is just foundational, that you have to take action, you have to learn, you have to tweak, you have to iterate, and then you got to learn from that and just keep moving.
You know what, Lee, you couldn't have said it better. I think entrepreneurs are a rare breed who learn by doing, right? You can't put them in front of a book. You can't, you can put them in a classroom and expose them to concepts and ideas, but they learn best when they learn from their own mistakes or when they learn from their own next steps. And one of the things that we've endeavored to do is create a virtual incubator, as what Eboni said, right? Create a virtual space where they, critically think through the problem, but don't overanalyze, right? That is one of the things that we've tried very hard to do. Focus on critical thinking, don't overanalyze, develop a bias for action, and the systems that we have in place and the way the software is built. When people log in, they start answering questions, they describe what the problem is, they start describing the market, but the system participates in it. And it sends them regular reminders to, take action and not simply sit there and overanalyze. So what you said is spot on. The other thing that Eboni and I often talk about are these two big waves in society today. One is mindfulness. I think just about every entrepreneur, every top executive out there is talking about mindfulness and how people need to connect with themselves. But the other big wave is entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship, unlike what people might think, at least we look at it as social mindfulness, where the entrepreneur connects with society, tries to understand what kind of problems people have, and then try to solve the problem, and in the process, monetize the solution, right? And to get that, entrepreneurs should not overanalyze, right? They have a hunch, they have a hypothesis, they should go out there, test it, quickly learn, and then pivot. And that is what Hustle Funds is all about. It's about hustle, right? It's about moving quickly. It's about solving needs, and then constantly learning and pivoting.
Now, you mentioned the importance of action, and I think, again, this is an area where entrepreneurs confuse activity for meaningful action. So a lot of times people get bogged down with, especially early on, is, I have to get my business license or my business cards made, or I feel like I'm doing something that's moving the ball, but actually I'm stalling because I don't know if my thing's going to work or not. And I would be better served to ask someone to buy this or to talk to a potential customer to tell me what's wrong with it, rather than doing this kind of busy work that feels like action, that feels like I'm doing something, but isn't really giving me meaningful data that I can iterate around.
Yeah, so that's actually something that I've been kind of tasked with, we'll say, in Hustle Funds. It's really doing that customer discovery. And as I've gotten to talk to different entrepreneurs, much like you do, you start to see that where people never get out of, we'll say, like dream phase, right? They have all these big ideas, but they never test to see if the market actually needs their product, right, or wants their services. And that was one of the things that we wanted to address in the platform as well, to get you through that critical thinking, to actually get out there, talk to people. Don't be afraid of the feedback, and iterate. That's something that we've done, right? We go and we talk to different people that we would think that would benefit from it, and we get their feedback on the product. We ask them about what they're trying to help them solve, their problems, their challenges, and we have to kind of have strong stiff upper lip, right? Because sometimes people may be very critical of what you're bringing to the table. But that also gives us really good ideas to help us iterate. We've changed our roadmap, based off a lot of this feedback, so we know that we're trying to, serve the right population. So that's a critical skill I think every entrepreneur needs to actually get under their belt.
So now, in your roadmap, who is this ideal prospect for you in terms of the user of this software? Is it that person with just an idea? Are they the person in college? Are they the middle-aged person that had this idea that's gnawing at them in the back of their mind? How do you identify your ideal customer?
Yeah, well, we thought long and hard about it. We are currently targeting, or the ideal customer for us is the emerging entrepreneur, or somebody who has an idea but doesn't quite know how to take it to market. Early on, we did consider other segments as well. So we've taken an interesting path to actually landing on who we consider our target persona today. And I'm pretty sure it's going to evolve over time. But today we are really looking at helping individuals as well as institutions, but basically individuals who have an idea and who want to launch a business. But the software itself has been optimized for two distinct personas. One is this individual who wants to start a business. So we have individual licenses, but there is also an institution license where we help institutions that teach entrepreneurship to use this platform to deliver their training. So this is a way for them to organize entrepreneurs into groups or individuals, manage that entire portfolio of different startups that they are incubating. And that is why we call it a virtual incubator. But at the heart of the system is this emerging entrepreneur who has this bright idea and who needs a place to organize their thoughts, organize all their quote unquote stuff, and then develop a bias for action and then quickly move, iterate, and pivot.
Now, Eboni, you mentioned that your background was in technology. Is the Hustle Funds primarily for these tech startups, or is it for anybody, if they have a craft business or any other kind of, non-technical business?
So that's a great question. And one of the things as we were building it is that was one of the things that we wanted to kind of eliminate, like the barrier for people who are doing lifestyle businesses or services, because a lot of these incubators really do serve only the tech community. And we realized starting a business is starting a business, whether it's tech or whether it's non-tech. So this platform is great for anybody, both non-technical and tech. We have blueprints in our app that allows somebody to think through their problem, whether they want to start a brick or mortar business, whether they want to start an online business. And we even have blueprint templates for some lifestyle businesses in there, to help people kind of get an idea of where they want to start. The questions that we ask, we think are questions that any entrepreneur of any type of business should answer. So yeah, we do not have a bias towards tech companies, even though we both come out of the tech sector. We think it's important that all entrepreneurs have access to this.
Now, one of the reasons that folks get involved with incubators or accelerators is access to kind of smart money or funds. Is there a place for that in this endeavor as well? Are you going to teach me of how to be ready if I want to, try to get access to funds, whether it's friends and family or if I'm going to go to a VC route or crowdfunding? There's a variety of ways to fund a startup nowadays.
Yes, so that is the ultimate goal. Today, we have developed Hustle Funds to be what I call a multi-sided market, where investors and entrepreneurs and mentors, institutions can all collaborate with each other. But essentially, it's meant to be a place where entrepreneurs can organize themselves. So there are three key features, and I think Eboni just alluded to one of them. So the first feature, helps entrepreneurs critically think through the problem. So there's a whole framework that we've developed, essentially a set of questions that people can answer anytime, anywhere, on any device. And we've essentially taken a lot of sophisticated management frameworks and broken them down into human readable questions that are presented in a very non-threatening way. So that is an online assessment that people can do at their own pace. They can take as much time as they want to. The beauty of the platform is a second feature where business plans get generated based on the questions that people answer. So we currently support both the SPA formats for business plans, and then we also support the lean canvas. So basically, keep answering questions and your business plans will get magically generated for you. And then last but not the least, we have a cost calculator, which asks you questions. So basically, you're not plugging in numbers. We've done all that heavy lifting for you. There's a huge database in the back end. All you need to do is answer questions like, hey, are you going to need internet? Are you going to need a warehouse? Are you going to need furniture? Just answer questions, and then we calculate costs for you, and then help you do some very rudimentary pro forma analysis. So that is a platform in a nutshell. Now, where we ultimately want to go is connect entrepreneurs to investors so that they can raise seed capital, which is not in the platform today. But we do help them generate business plans that they can then take to banks and other institutions to raise capital.
Now, is there a place for community where me as a startup founder, sometimes that can be a lonely place, and I don't have, maybe like you mentioned earlier, maybe my family has never done something like this before. I don't have a network of people that have been there and done that, and I'm kind of on my own here. Is there a community element to this where I can kind of commiserate with other founders?
Ebbs, why don't you take that?
Oh, yeah. So community, that's actually one of the things we want to build in our roadmap, because as you stated, it's incredibly important. Right now, though, we don't have the complete community aspect, but we do have a mentor function, so that, for example, if you want to bring a mentor or a group of people into your project to be able to give you feedback, help you along, we have that's embedded directly into your project. So you can get that real-time feedback from the people that you choose. In the future, though, we'd like to definitely add more of the community features to it so that people can find each other and, eventually host things like seminars and really just get people to be speaking about entrepreneurship, learning how to do pitches and, all of those sorts of things. But right now, we do have the mentor feature and building our way towards more community-like features.
Now, in a lot of the incubators that I've been involved with and that I've seen, there is in some cases, a high failure rate in terms of a lot of people, their thing doesn't work out. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's what they learned by going through this exercise, is that this is not the right fit. But one of the benefits of being in an incubator is that I might find somebody else in this incubator that I might be the perfect solution to help them get to the next level. And I can add what I've learned so far into their business. And all of a sudden now both of us have a better kind of way forward. Is there an element of that where you can create some of these mashups that occur?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy with the way you worded that. So it is available in the institution version of the product. So in the institution version of a product, let's say there's a community college or a bigger school that's teaching entrepreneurship, or even an incubator. When they use Hustle Funds, they can organize people into groups, and people can see each other's groups. They can see each other's projects. They can decide to collaborate with each other. And the institution version of Hustle Funds enables institutions to manage their intellectual property all in one place. So all of these businesses that are starting and pivoting and failing, scaling, all of that intellectual property resides in the institution's, database of Hustle Funds. And that way, people can learn from each other, and we can build those smaller communities, right? Micro communities. For individuals, that is not available. There are designs, and there are also legal aspects of community building that we are, that we are looking into before we build the end user community feature. But coming back to your question, absolutely. So in the institution version, all of the learnings, all of the assets are all in one place, so people can learn from each other, join each other, and even the institution can guide people better.
So now, how could we help you? What do you need more of at this point? Are you looking for more institutions to partner with? Are you looking for more entrepreneurs out there that want to kind of use your vehicle as that kind of way forward for them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking for both. Institutions, partnering with institutions is something that's near and dear to our heart. Being that this was born out of us being in an institution and learning, we think that this is a perfect amplifier for someone's curriculum, whether you're in an incubator or actually teaching it informally in a university, or even if you're just a business consultant. And then also for the entrepreneur that is looking for software that's going to be simple and help you focus on your strengths and not get overwhelmed like some of the other, just say, business planning tools. We want to make it a more holistic adventure for that entrepreneur. So we're definitely looking for both types of entrepreneurs.
Now, do you have any kind of people who have gone through the process and have used the software to either move up a notch, get funding, or maybe test their product? Has anybody kind of gone through the process thus far?
We have a handful of customers. We launched earlier this year, actually late last year, but officially in January. And we do have a handful of customers, and we are actively talking to a few institutions about using Hustle Funds, a few institutions and consultants. So as of now, we really don't have customers who've gotten to the funding stage. That's our ultimate goal, is to help them get to funding stage, or at least get them to a point where they pivot successfully and scale. So yes, that's where we are.
And just to add on to that, I'm sorry, Lee, just 1 second.
Go ahead.
But the entrepreneurs that we do have in the system right now, one of the first impressions that they had was that, again, they hadn't thought through some of these questions. And some of them kind of started, they're lifestyle businesses, right? Mostly. And so they started their business. They know that they're good at whatever they make. But when it started getting into more of the, we'll say, technical stuff of business, of, all these different questions, for them, it was actually a pause point to say, wait a minute, here's there's a lot more out there I don't know, but these are good questions. And now I can kind of chew through them and work on them bit by bit. So like Matt said, we don't have anyone gone through the entire process, but we're already seeing it change the mindsets of the entrepreneurs that are in the system.
Now, what about institutions? Do you have any institution partners at this point?
Not at this time, but we are talking to a couple of different institutions, and I think we're nearing kind of closing that and being able to develop and grow with them.
Well, congratulations on all the success. If somebody wants to learn more about this, whether they're an individual or an institution, is there a website?
Yeah, it's www.hustlefunds.com.
Well, this is an amazing platform and software, and I think that every entrepreneur should check it out, because I think that these are the tools that they need to get out of their head and to really just start taking that kind of action, the real action that it takes to test your thesis, because that's all it is. I mean, any business is basically a hypothesis, and you're just trying to get more data so you can move forward or not. And you can't take it personally. You just got to keep moving and learning and growing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us today.
Well, I'm really excited to see how this story goes. Please keep us posted, because I'd love, when you get that first institution on board, I'd love to talk to them as well to see how they plan on using it, because I think that this is a really great tool for them to really serve the budding entrepreneurs that they have in their colleges or universities or wherever they are.
Absolutely. Definitely would love to reconnect after this. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you both for participating. Again, the website is hustlefunds.com, right?
Yep.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Richmond Business Radio.